Aloha, friends and family. Welcome back to the channel. We'd briefly talk about the merging of what I'm calling two realities into one reality. And kind of just to say it simply, is the left brain of a human sees the world from, let us say, a divine, more of a divine masculine principle. It sees life through the eye or eyes of the divine masculine principle. Okay, but it's distorted until it's not. So, with the left brain's way of seeing things, then, it's the pragmatic part of the mind. It's the survival part of the mind. And we could say it's more along the lines of the animal kingdom. It's more animalistic-like in its way of thinking and looking at the world. So that's where the ego part of man dominates, and that's hence the distortion I mentioned. When we're primarily seeing life through that left brain, and we're in ego, and we're identifying as ego, that's very distorted. So that's the very distorted divine masculine principle coming forward. All right, if we go to the right brain, it's seeing things, it sees reality, it sees life more through the divine feminine principles. And so that's where we get our intuition. That's where we get clairvoyance. That's where we would deal with telepathy, all those kind of things. So almost we could say it's dealing with the invisible aspects of reality, whereas the left brain is primarily dealing with the physical aspects of reality. All right, so both of these thinking centers are in our heads. And we do have a right brain and a left brain. And so when your two eyes look out of your human, one seeing from the right brain, one seeing from the left brain, two different realities, right? If you just isolated one side, it would see reality as a completely different thing than the other side would. But because we're dual creatures, we look through both of the eyes simultaneously, and it automatically merges both of the realities into what we're calling our reality, what we think of as reality. But again, if we don't realize that there's actually two, and see, they're not realities in and of themselves necessarily. It's because everything, this is already happening, right? So we're not making this happen. It just happens. It's natural. So this is the natural way the Creator has set this up. We could say set humans up to function and exist. So when we become integrated, when we're awakened, when we've moved beyond simply seeing ourselves as that left-brained creature or animal that is primarily concerned with survival. And we're talking about flesh again. We're talking about flesh, right? Survival of what? The flesh, what we call our life. So once we move beyond just that kind of squeezed, off to the side, limited reality that we see from that left brain compartmentalized aspect, we begin to see the fullness of life or the fullness of reality. So humans that are in that left brain are really experiencing a very limited reality, because all of the right brain, and again, that's the invisible stuff. That's stuff that deals with spirit. That's stuff that deals with source. That's stuff that deals with laws. That's stuff that deals with vibrations. Well, all that stuff's invisible. So it was easy for humans to just kind of write all that off and say, well, that's all in the airy fairy land. We can't grab hold of it and put it under a microscope or dissect it, and so therefore we don't have to really deal with it or worry about it or think about it. We're primarily in the left brain, where everything is physical and we can grab it and dissect it and hold it and tweak it and look at it, right? So we're much more expanded humans when we have both the right brain and the left brain fully operating at their full capacities and seeing reality in its fullness by getting both views, both sides fully activated. And it opens up this whole other world of possibility, probability, possibility. And all you're going to discover from your left brain, as far as like trying to do stuff in the world or manifest, is always will based. It's always through will. So you get that saying of, if you work hard, great things will happen, or you'll have success if you work hard. So it's what they're saying really then is, if you really apply your will and your might and your strength, you can accomplish. And you can make some accomplishment that way. I'm not saying you can't. But you will make vastly more progress and success by understanding your own mind and how we are designed and set up. And then you begin, once you've done this, you begin to realize that a lot of what is done, a lot of what is manifested, a lot of what is achieved isn't so much based on will and might and power of the man, but it's his thinking. His very act of thinking has the ability to cause things to happen. And the law of attraction is a good example of this, of you will attract things to yourself, you will attract situations in your life based on simply your thinking, your thoughts. So to become a very skilled and masterful director of the mind will take you further faster than simply your intellect and your will, and again, your might and your power, and how hard you can work. Hard work is great if it's done in conjunction with, and it's secondary, is what I'm getting at. It's secondary to the thinking itself of the man. And that thinking alone has the ability to do more hard work than you could possibly do. And so therefore you enact your faith. The law of attraction works. Do you believe it? Do you know it? Do you rely on it? Do you count on it? Do you look for it? Do you expect it? So there's still so much for us to learn about ourselves being dual creatures or being multidimensional creatures, but there's just no way to really. The design itself shows us that we're dual, right? You have two parts to your brain. You could split a human being down the middle and you have two mirroring halves. So we're dual creatures, but we're also multidimensional. And again, that's where we're over into spirit, now we're over into the invisible, and we lose a lot of people there because people, they don't know what to believe about all that. So generally, I think they just push it away and not worry about it. Worry about what you can get your hands on. But I'm telling you, your mind has the ability to do more for you than your hands do. More than your might does. More than your strong will does. Magnificent journey, the journey of discovery, the journey of expansion, the journey of growth, the journey of ascension. It's just, it never ends, you know? It never ends. So however far you've come in your awakening and in your expansion, there's still so much ahead. There's still so much more to this. And when you first wake up and you're first in your awakening, so many things occur to you and dawn to you that you're like, oh, wow. And it's mind-blowing and it blows you away and you think, whoa, man, this is amazing. But how do I tell the world about it? Or how do I tell anybody about it? And then you realize, wow, we're really just starting. We're really just starting. So humans are just now coming from the point of being in descension in the lower densities where they were completely cut off from the right brain or the divine feminine aspect, or again, the spirit side of life, where everything emanates from. So we got everything backwards. They got us all backwards in this world where physicality is primary and foremost, in the forefront, and spirit and all that's relegated to just, that's religion, that's faith, that's philosophy, that's all this stuff we don't really know nothing about. And man, have we suffered because of it. Man, have we been missing out because of this psyop, because of this lie. But see, we had to be dupable. We had to be connable. Because nobody can con you if you're not connable. Nobody can dupe you if you're not dupable. And you're not going to be dupable if you and the Father are one. And you know this beyond any shadow of a doubt. So just wanted to drop by, mention that. It's something to think about. I've really been thinking about it. The whole right brain, left brain thing, and how if you just looked at life and your reality through one side of your brain only, you would say, whatever you were calling reality from what you saw, it's going to be different than if you just looked at it through the other side and then you said this is reality. So we must realize then there's two mechanisms that create reality, and each one of them is coming through your own brain, through your own mind, to create the one, you know, a unified reality, we could say. Again, this is after distortion, though. This is after we've moved from just being in a limited section of our left brain in the animalistic, egoic, survivalistic mode of that's the lowest density, you know, that's the we're ascending out of this. That's what's beautiful, wonderful about where humanity is, as fouled up as it all is, and as monkey showed as everything is. We are ascending out of the lowest possible place a human can reside. And so it can only get better from here. The best is yet to come. So let us jump into some more. We leave you in the love, unity, and light of the infinite Creator until we meet again.
And if we will make salt out of it, we must putrefy and kill it. Our fountain is potentially gold and silver, which by coction may be got out of it, which cannot be got out of common quicksilver. Our fountain becomes by mere coction, without and addition, the elixir of the wise men, but this cannot be expected of common mercury. In our fountain are all metals potentially, because it is the seed out of which the common metals, yea, quicksilver itself grows, which cannot be said of common quicksilver. Our fountain unearth all sorts of stones, noble and ignoble, which common mercury cannot do. Nature mixes earth with our fountain a very subtle and clean body, and includes them in the cavities of the earth, bakes and digests it like other metals, until it becomes a dark, red, glittering earth, which is called the mineral or natural cinnabar, which is distilled by a small fire into running quicksilver. Yea, there are vapors sublimed out of the mercurial mineral or ore of cinnabar, which in cold places run together again and become mercury. Thus in many places, mercury is found on the superficies of the earth, which have been sublimed out of its hidden minera, and by the coldness of the night, and of the heavenly dew gathered together and made running. 13. How our fountain becomes known or manifested to the wise men. Our fountain must be prepared out of two saline substances, yet of one root, otherwise it is impossible that it pass or be acknowledged for ours. These two slain substances yield by a small fire a very fiery spirit, which has innumerable names. When this spirit is drawn off from them, they remain as dead earth behind, because they have lost their spirit by distillation. But if we give the dead earth its spirit again, it becomes, by a soft fire, dissolved again in a blood-red liquor, which by coction becomes redder and redder, then black, and at last thick and fat. The dead earth, before it is joined again with its spirit, has also many names from the wise men, as may be seen in their writings. When this spirit, by due coction, is once united with its body, they can never be separated again. Because by continued decoction, they become fixed and abiding in the fire, and although they flow in the fire, yet they fume not away. Thus our matter has a twofold name, yet it comes from one root. It is mineral, and nature has given it a mineral form, but left these same imperfect. It flows easily. It is compounded of volatile and fixed, and when they are united they purify, and then they become perfect. In this operation they become all sorts of colors, as black, white, red. After redness they change no more. This matter, after having received perfect whiteness, perfect redness and fixation, tinges all imperfect metals into the best silver and gold. By this time our fountain is made manifest, unto which we must add that the volatile part thereof is of a very sour taste, penetrating nature, and sharp quality. 14. Whether our fountain to come to its perfection stands in need of common gold and silver. Our fountain cannot come to its perfection without gold and silver, but this sun and moon, are not common sun and moon, but something else not strange to our fountain, neither against it. Because that sun and moon which contributes to the perfection of our fountain, and is first part thereof, of a double nature, white and red, the white is called silver, and the red gold. Hence it appears to be very true our fountain cannot be brought to perfection without silver and gold, for gold and silver are that fixed and permanent part thereof, which can, shall, and must fix the volatile. It is of that of which is sung, by art dissolve the fixed, and after let it fly, and fix the volatile, that not it rise high. It is the gold which must be dissolved and changed into a spirit by its own spirit. We cannot say so of common gold, for where must we get the spirit of common soul, and with the same dissolve it and change it into a spirit? This is also to be understood of common silver. Therefore, when we speak of gold and silver, we always understand which are in our fountain, and are innate in it. The spirit of the heavenly sun, when untied with the fat moisture of the elements, by his heat fixes and coagulates, and produces a peculiar salt which appropriates to itself the virtues and qualities of the heavenly light, and strives to become like its father. Hence the wise men have gold, whereas in truth it is salt, and has the nature of salt. And yet it is but one, and not a twofold salt, as if one should be Sol, and the other Luna. No, it is only one salt, called either Sol or Luna, after a different manner. And yet it is but one and a twofold salt, as if one should be Sol and the other Luna. No, it is only one salt, called either Sol or Luna, after a different manner. When our salt has acquired the highest whiteness, then we call it Luna, but when it comes to the highest redness, then we call it Sol. Our fountain cannot subsist without this Sol or Luna, and that we say cannot be applied to common Sol and Luna. And although the wise men want some common gold in the fermentation of their stone, that the same may be determinated to transmute imperfect metals into Sol, it does not therefore follow that common Sol should make perfect our stone. On the contrary, our stone rather makes perfect common Sol and Luna, because the most perfect Sol is imperfect and unfruitful without our stone. But when it comes to be united to our stone, it becomes alive and fruitful, and can communicate part of its perfection to other metals. Many busy themselves in endeavors to dissolve common gold and bring it into a true essence, but in vain. It is a labor not worth one's thinking on. There is another solution which is true and natural, which is performed by itself, because the solvent and that which is to be dissolved in it are both of one substance. Therefore they are radically dissolved. We must look after this solution and not the common, because our solvent, our Sol, and our Luna, although they seem to be together, yet are but one thing, and are in one substance. This a fool cannot understand. As soon as he hears this, he falls into errors, not only in what concerns the preparation of the matter, but also in the administration of the fire, making of the oven, making of the furnace, closing the vessels, and the determination of the weight. The powerful virtue and operation of the light in our matter is our weight. He that does not know and understand this must certainly err. 15. How much our fountain wants of its gold and silver to come to its perfection. Nature has no weight in the generation of metals, because it has but one only matter wherein it works. But in making our fountain, every one is admonished to take of the weight, because our fountain consists of two matters, one being the male, the other the female, in whose conjunction we must needs trouble ourselves about the weight. In joining male and female together, this our fountain is born. But every weight will not serve in this work, but only that which has its due determination. Know therefore that equal parts of both these matters are to be taken in the celebration of our first marriage, but in the second marriage, in which the volatile is joined with the fixed, the weight must be otherwise considered. For the fixed part must be dissolved by the volatile and turned into water. Hence there must be more of the volatile than of the fixed in this solution and conjunction. Some take 10 parts of the volatile tone, part of the fixed, some 7, some but 3. It suffices that so much of the volatile water be taken as the solution of the fixed part requires. Much water dissolves quickly, but then the coagulation which follows takes the longer, on which the ignorant, not knowing the nature of this work, fall into desperation when they perceive that the work does not coagulate in due time. I have taken much water, but then after dissolution, the superfluous is abstracted again, and God has blessed my work richly. There is yet another way to be used in the multiplication to moisten the white and the red work, which is done by our highly rectified fountain. And here you must be very cautious. For the white, you must only pour the thickness of a paper upon it, which must be often repeated until the stone is perfectly satiated and it becomes white and red. In this operation, art does not follow nature, for art stands in need of a certain weight, but nature is her own weight, for she takes as much as is necessary and thrusts away the rest, reserving it for other uses. Nature has nothing useless or superfluous, for what is not good for this is good for another thing. Know for a conclusion that you need take care for nothing but to acquire our fountain, unto which will not only serve you this treatise, but also my other treatise entitled The Rules of Wisdom and Chemistry, with my third one called Sanguis Naturae, which will give you sufficiently, yea, abundant instruction and expositions, because this fountain comprehends the whole philosophical work, makes the same, and corrects all errors, if perhaps committed. Besides, this fountain is to be highly esteemed, because we want neither fire nor furnaces nor vessel, for our fountain is all these, if you understand it right. Hast thou obtained this fountain, then thou hast whole nature in thy power. Thou lacking nothing, but have all things that thou desire already in thy hand, for which praise Jehovah.
Excellent. All right, brother. We'll talk soon, okay? Stay safe.
Yes, sir. Y'all too. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Always, man.